Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Energy Inside Motion. I'm here today with my guest, DJ Mexy.
Yes, I'm in the place.
So if you'd like to just give a little brief introduction to the audience about who you are.
Yeah, my name's DJ Mexy. Some call me Mexy Thomas, some call me Mexy, whichever way you want to call it. DJ, presenter, award-winning and global.
How did you get into the creative industry?
So that's a good question, you know. I'm not really creative, you know. I'm more of a creator.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got into the creative industry being left-brained, just very just systemized, very just like black and white. Yeah. But seeing patterns and realizing that I could create with my patterns, and just being amongst creative people allowed me to just fulfill my patterns and create them in the right way.
What impact would you say your upbringing had on your career choice?
So DJing for me was never really a career choice. It was always something that was just a hobby. Yeah. It was just something that I could do really well. People told me I had a gift. Well, my parents would always say, don't take DJing serious. Yeah. DJing is not a career. Yeah. Go to university, go and do your studies, go to school and learn your book.
In terms of DJing, what DJs inspired you?
Okay, so as a young DJ, the DJs that inspired me, I grew up in the garage era and the dancehall era. So people that inspired me was people like DJ EZ. There was another DJ called DJ Everton, RIP. Like, I used to listen to his mixes, the way he used to mix the songs together on the Silk City tapes and the Sun City tapes on the Garage Nation. He used to do even harmony to smash it. So big up Everton. Also in the dancehall arena, I used to listen to a lot of like reggae and dancehall artists. People like David Rodigan, people like my dad who was in the sound system community, my cousin Tyrone Melody. These people used to inspire me to want to play music the way they did.
So in terms of your creative outlet, are any members of your family into that sort of creative world? Did they do anything creative?
Yeah, so I come from like a musical family, right? So my dad, he runs a sound system called Love Injection. It's one of the biggest sound systems in the world that was brought out of Birmingham, right? It's known globally. My cousins, they're in sound systems too, a sound called Immortal, and they've been in UK Cup clashes and stuff like that as well. And a lot of my family, they're into music, to be fair. Even my granddad, he used to play guitar, you know, in a band. So we come from a musical family.
What were some of like your favorite artists growing up?
My favorite artist, great question. So it's going to sound so strange, but one of my favorite artists when I was growing up was Michael Jackson. Yeah. Because the way he used to move, the songs, everything, next level. There was obviously hip hop as well that I grew up listening to. Everybody who I was around loved Tupac. That was their thing. But I was a notorious B.I.G. man. That was my artist. His rhymes, his lyrics, the way he did things, you couldn't beat that. Then in the dancehall arena, you had people like Supercat, Ninja Man, Nicodemus. Even in the reggae field, Dennis Brown. These people I grew up and listening to and says, yeah, these are my artists.
How do you put together one of your mixes?
You know what? I'm different, you know. So some DJs like to pre-mix before they go to an event. I like to visualize and see the crowd and take the energy. When I go to an event, I don't just go, you know what, this is what I've planned to play. When I go to an event, I go, you know what, actually, what do people want to hear? You know, a wise man that I used to listen to called Les Brown, he says, in public speaking, he says, never let what somebody wants to hear get in front of what you want to say. So in music, you do the same thing. Never let what people out there want to hear get in front of what you want to play.
Yeah. So when you're doing a DJ set live, how do you read the energy of the crowd, and how does that inform the mixes you're playing?
Well, that's what they call the gift, right? Which many people say I have. So I know there's certain music that can change the whole dynamics of an event. I can play slow jam music and make the ladies cry. I can play some dancehall music and make them want to jump up. I can play some bass line and people want to slap the DJ in his face, you know, they're getting vexed. Yeah, but they're vexed in a happy vex. But I could also play some hip hop songs, and I know I could play 10 hip hop songs back to back, and the dance is gonna done. People are gonna start fighting, Royal Rumbles happening, it's the end of the night. So I try and avoid that selection.
Okay. Obviously, when you're doing DJing and when you're doing presenting, what do those two different outlets give to you internally as a person?
Well, for me, DJing and presenting is about, music to me is helping people feel good about themselves using music. To me, it's all about, I've played music, DJed across the world, and hearing stories of people that were suffering from anxiety, suffering from depression, coming to me after parties, events, DMing me and say, you know what, you changed my life. Like, I was so sad. And you came and you said something, or you played it in a certain way, and you changed my life. You made me happier. You made me ready to more confident and ready to go out there and be myself. Even down to people who are married or in partnerships that would say, you know what, when you played, that was the first time we danced together, and you saved our marriage. So these are some of the reasons why I play music, because music isn't just about playing music. It's about, they say when music hits, you feel no pain. So it's about using music to help people feel good about themselves. And presenting. Presenting for me is all about getting the story out of people in order so that people can watch and be inspired and think, you know what, this person who you've interviewed, they're just normal like me, so it's possible.
What would you say is the biggest obstacle that you've overcome in your career?
The biggest obstacle? One of the biggest obstacles was realizing that I grew up with my parents, and they said to me, music was not a thing that you do. It's a hobby. It's a hobby, blood. Yeah? It's a hobby. That's what you do. Go to school, go to university, get a job. Don't do music full time. So one of the biggest challenges for me was overcoming that, because I was always told I had a gift. Everybody, everywhere I played, at the end of the night, people says, you got a gift. And I'm a man that I say God first in anything that I do. So if somebody's giving me a gift, which comes from God, if God has given me a gift and I'm not using it, what's going on? So I read a book called Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, I believe, and it talks about your 10,000 hours. And I went to one of my mentors, a guy called Carl George, and he says, you know what? I was picking, what shall I do? Where shall I go next in my career? Where am I? I was at a top corporate job, doing very, very well. But something in me was, when I'm doing that job, nobody was telling me I had a gift. But when I was playing music, people was telling me I had a gift and I was changing lives. So he said to me, you've done your 10,000 hours. Why don't you just put everything into your gift? So one of the biggest challenges was having that mental shift to say, actually, although my parents, the people around me always said, music is just a hobby, go and get a job. Actually going, all right, I'm going to take this on, right? So when I took it on, the change for me was that if I'm going to take this on, I am not going to make my grandmother, who's my nan and I love very dearly, say to me, don't bother left your good job to go mash up yourself. So I said, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it with the top celebrities, the top brands. I want to do it with the footballers, the highest percentage of people, because I believe I can change their lives. And in doing that, I can change everybody else's. So that was the biggest mindset change for me, understanding that actually music is something you can do full time and you can pursue your passions.
What advice would you have for people who are upcoming in the industry, who want to scale themselves and their brand and get to the stage where you've got to?
I think most importantly, understanding that you have to set your own standards in your own life first. And do not wait for a door to open. Nobody is going to knock your door and say, guess what, I've got this opportunity for you. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So even though you're knocking and people have got doors, I would say to anybody, don't knock the doors. Go and get some wood from B&Q, get some nails, and go and build a door yourself. Yeah. Take the time to understand how to build a door. Research, what kind of wood does a door need? What kind of door handle do I need? Where do you put up a door? And build your own door. Because when you build your own door, guess what? People start knocking.
I think that's mainly because of authenticity, would you say? Like, people are attracted to people who make them feel like themselves.
Yeah, I think people buy people, right? So we're in a society now where people want, there's this phrase that I learned when I was younger, and it's called be, do, have, right? And be, do, have shows you exactly how people work and how to achieve what you want in life. Most people want to have, They want to have the celebrity lifestyle. They want to have the car. They want to have the money. But they don't do. They don't want to do nothing. They just want to have. But then there's some people just doing, thinking, if I do all of this, I'm going to get the have. But the question is, you have to start with the be. Like, you have to be first. Be meaning, who are you? Who is that person in order to have the thing? Who did that person have to be? Who do you have to become to be that person? So you have to go in order. You have to be the person first. You have to have the same habits as that person. You have to have the same mental attitude as that person. Then you do the thing and you will have.
What are some of the daily habits that you do in your day-to-day life?
So one of my daily habits, without a doubt, is prayer. I'm not waking up, I'm not going back to sleep without praying to the Most High. It's not happening, yeah? If I don't do anything for the day, at least I know I do them two things. So that's a daily habit for me. Number two, I'm a bit like an army official, you know. I do not leave my bed without making it like an army man, yeah? When I leave my bed, it has to be made. Like when I come back home, that bed looks good. Like you just come from Premier Inn, the Hilton, wherever. It's done. Secondly, there's other things that I do. I do my affirmations. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich, which talks about your self-confidence formula. And also, I also talk about my definite aim in life. Who do I want to become? And talk about it, and I visualize it. Where do I want to be in the next 5 years? What does that look like? I actually close my eyes and look and think, what am I feeling? What does it sound like? How does this look? And this is what I do daily.
How do you stay grounded in your journey as you're progressing? Because I feel like while you're sort of leveling yourself up in what you do in your career, maintaining that internal self whilst not letting go of too much of your authenticity.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think I'm a humble person anyway. So I'm a man that reads the Bible. Yeah. And when in the Bible, there's a man called Jesus that walks on the earth. And he's one of the most powerful people that's walking. But in the midst of all of that, he shows humbleness. People don't know he's got the power to do anything he wants. Yeah. But he stays humble with his power. And if you're a believer of what I believe in, then you understand, although you've got the power, it's important to be humble. It's important to just have that part about you that stays grounded. So that state allows me to stay grounded because I follow how he moves. So if I'm following that, I have to stay grounded. I never let it get to my head. Never. Because you don't know in a second when things change. You can be at the top of your game. Life is like snakes and ladders. And you go down that snake very, very fast, right? So it's important to stay grounded because you never know when you're going to go back to the people of where you was. So if you ever have to go down that ladder or go down the snake, you have to ask yourself, what are people going to say when I go back there? What are they going to do? Are they going to offer me some bun and cheese? Are they going to give me some bread? What are they going to do? Are they going to say, oh, let's help him up. Let's help him back up the ladder. Or are they going to say, this guy, when he was up there, didn't care. So staying grounded is very, very important because that allows you to stay amongst, you have to change, right? Your standards will change. The things you eat, the places you go, the environments you are, the conversations you have. Mindset shifts who you are. But that doesn't mean you can't still be grounded and make sure that in everything you do, you understand external things don't control. It's internal first. Internal, the unseen, is what creates the seen.
You've built a really powerful personal brand for yourself. When I look at your personal brand, even just visually, it feels powerful. It feels like this person's put time and effort. This person knows who he is. How did you sort of build your personal brand from scratch?
Okay, so that came from the conversation I had earlier I never took DJing serious. I took going to work serious. I'm working in my job and working up the ranks, and I was in a very big senior position. But when I decided that I was going to do this music thing, I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. My thing has to look sexy. Yeah? Can I say sexy? I don't know. My thing has to look sexy. Yeah? It's got to be. So what I did was I went all the way back and I stripped my branding back. So a lot of the events I used to play were very underground. People call them ghetto or whatever. Now, I came from a sound system background where people used to have raves in community centers. Yeah. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to move away from that, and I need to have my brand with all the top people. So what I did, I took a piece of paper, I took my logo, and I looked at some of the festival flyers, and I put Louis Vuitton's logo, I took YSL's logo, I took all the celebrities and put them all on a piece of paper and put my logo with them. And guess what I found? It didn't match. My logo was not going to be looking good next to that. So I had to rebrand. I said, okay, well, I have to be first, right? As I said to you earlier, I can't just have, I need to be. So I need to be the person where somebody would take my logo and put it on that flyer. It looks like that belongs there. If YSL call me, they go, yeah, we can put YSL with Mexy. Yeah. If Anthony Joshua calls me, he's feeling good if I'm at his birthday party. Yeah. If the mobile say we want you to present and my branding is next to theirs, they say that looks like what we would do. So I changed my whole branding completely, and then I matched it. I went for a few different logos, and I thought, this is the logo. And that logo stuck. And from there, I changed my logo, I changed my branding, I changed who I was, the type of events I did. I lost a lot of money because I said to a lot of people, I don't do that no more. I had to raise my standard. So there's a book that's called The 10-Second Philosophy by one of my mentors. It's called Derek Mills. And he talks about how to change your standards. Yeah. And in changing your standard, that means that you have to change who you are first. How you do, where you go, how you present yourself, you know, how you look online. All these things you need to change. And then when you change, when the world sees you differently, it treats you differently, right? So it's important to change all of that. So I started at the grassroots there and realized I didn't know it was called personal branding. I was just saying, you know what? I'm going to focus on where I want to be, what I want to have and who I want to be. So I changed who I wanted to be. And in that, looking forward now, you know, my branding is with Anthony Joshua's. We do Anthony Joshua's parties. We do Krypton Conan and Chip's birthday parties. We do Youth St. Laurent's with the main DJ for Selfridges. We've done loads of events, and I look at it and I feel, wow, my branding is on that. So I think you attract what you put out. So it's important that you look as far as you can and you say, actually, if I want to be there, if I want to have that, who do I need to be today?
How did you learn to build relationships in the industry?
So my background came from music anyway. So I was around like my dad, who was in sound system. And that's where I really started learning about the music culture, being around him, hearing the tapes, being around that environment and understanding how the culture kind of went. And a lot of what I did before I was like the Mexy you see now, and you can look at this on YouTube, I was in the sound system era. So in sound system, I never used to talk. Like I talk on the mic now. I never used to talk on the mic. I was just behind the scenes, playing and mixing the tunes and the dub plates for mics men. And they would go on stage and talk and ask me what the next tune is, and then I would play it for them. And I traveled across the globe doing that with the sound called Love Injection. I did UK Cut Clashes, which you'll see. Have a look on YouTube, search UK Cut Clash, you'll see me DJing. And in that environment, I met some of the top DJs and some of the top promoters. And I traveled the world. I played reggae music in Germany, where they don't speak English and they would like reggae music. I played in France, Switzerland, New York, Caribbean. I played across the world. So in that environment, what you find is you get to speak to people. You get to sit back and look. Remember, I'm left brain, yeah? So I'm an introvert, right? I don't like talking, bruv, yeah? But what I managed to do is understand that although I don't like talking, if I can understand and visualize it and see how they talk and how they move, I can understand it and I can navigate through the system and understand that not everybody is for you in the industry. But if you be yourself, and I was introverted, so naturally I would go in these environments, all these stars and celebs and promoters and managers, and I would just sit in the corner. I just stand in the corner, not say nothing, just say nothing. But you'll find that people will find you in the corner. There's somebody somewhere that will go, oh, I haven't spoken to you. Or there's somebody somewhere that's an introvert just like you that's going, okay, there's 3 of us in this corner. and you find that these people gravitate to you, right? So you never have to be fake. I've never been fake in this industry. I've never had to put on, like, I've learned stuff. You learn the art of communication. I think it's very, very important to learn how to speak, to communicate. But I learned that through watching. I didn't go to no course and somebody told me how to do this. I learned it through watching, through experience. But I'm introverted, but my gift is extroverted. So when I'm on stage now, I can talk to thousands of people, whether in public speaking, presenting, or whether DJing to thousands, I can do that. But when I'm out of that zone, I'm introvert, bro. I'm backstage like this, like, yeah, you're right. People like, you're right, Mexy. I'm like, yeah. Like, literally, like we did a tour with Paul Brunson, who is on Married at First Sight. He's a main host, American guy. And it was by his Signed to Flight studio, which is Stephen Bartlett's team. And we were toured the whole of the UK, and I'll be on stage, this is documented, I'll be on stage, people are jumping around, I'm getting them moving, everything, and I'll go backstage and be like, so they'll be like, are you okay? Do you need some coffee? Do you need this? And I'll be like, no, I'm just charging. Because introverts like me get energy from being alone. But extroverts get energy from being around people. So you just got to be your authentic self, yeah? And know when to go forward and when to go back. And I learned how to navigate by being my introverted self and just watching what everybody else was there.
What is one of your favourite collaborations that you've done as a DJ?
Oh, favourite collaborations. I've done many. Collaborations as events, or help me to understand.
I think first we'll do events.
Okay. So collaboration in events. So I put on events myself, right? So I would say my most memorable one is I put on an event and I brought coffee and chronics to Birmingham, right? To about 10,000 people in this arena. I'd never put on an arena show before, yeah? So in 2000, I believe it was 2019, I thought I want to keep a stage show, yeah? My dad had connections, I had connections, and we decided to put on coffee and chronics, bring coffee, first person to bring coffee to Birmingham and to bring coffee and chronics together. And we had 10,000 people in this arena, and I DJ'd to all of that with them artists. I DJ for coffee, DJ for chronics, and did it. And that was like one of my memorable ones because it was outside of my comfort zone. This was probably a year after I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to do this music thing. And that was iconic because it made me realize that, you know what, actually I did have a gift. Because never in my million years would I have thought I could have kept a show that big with the biggest artists at the time. And also they weren't playing to nobody. You had to get the people in the room, and I did that. So that would be my first collaboration event. In terms of DJing wise, I've done so many, like, one of my favorite was doing Anthony Joshua's party. It's not documented. There was no phone, so we did his birthday party, and not his birthday party. We did like a fancy dress party at one of his mansions, and you know he got excited, started rapping on the mic as he does. Big up AJ, big up Femi, you know, started rapping on the mic. I'm DJing and we're playing some like West Coast music and so, and that was like, wow, like this is crazy, man. Like, so that was good. That was one of my memorable ones. But I've done so many. I've played in Jamaica at one of the roughest places in Jamaica called Tivoli Gardens. I've DJ'd there when this was a time when people are talking about Mavado and Cartel, Gully versus Gaza now. Well, I played in Jamaica when that was a real thing. So this was when, if you played a Cartel song, if you didn't play a Mavado song, you'd be in trouble, right? People would literally lock off the dance, yeah? And look at you like they're gonna do you something. So I played in Tivoli Gardens, one of the deadliest places in Jamaica, and played to this crowd and had to play Mavado and Cartel songs during the Gully and Gaza war. And that was memorable. I was sweating. But I delivered. And, you know, now looking back, it's memorable for me. But there's so many, like, I could go on.
In terms of presenting, how did you become a presenter? And what sort of influenced you to do that?
So, you know what? Through being an introvert and actually opening my mouth and speaking to people, people says, you know what, actually, they like what I say. They said I asked great questions. And as an introvert, you tend to do that because I'm left brain. So I need to understand this. So naturally I need to ask good questions because I need to understand it so I can be better at it, or I could feel more comfortable in an environment. So the presenting thing came about, literally I was a DJ for the Mobiles in 2021. They asked me to DJ. And after backing me DJing and helping them out, they seen that I would host my own set. So they was like, you're a great host. Like, you got all these celebs like enjoying themselves, and we thought we were just booking a DJ, but actually you're like a host as well. And I was like, yeah. Next minute I know they're doing online stuff. So I did an event with Disney and Mobiles. I did another event with Sony Music and Mobiles and the Orchard Group. And I did some online stuff with them, interviewing people and sharing their stories. And off the back of that, they was like, you know what, you're really good. Like, next year when we do the Mobiles, have you ever thought about presenting? Like, and I was like, I haven't, but you know, why not? And Kanye was like, Mexy, we're doing the Mobile Awards. We want you to come and do some interviews. And I was like, what? So I ended up, my first time presenting for the Mobiles is in 2022. This was in London. And I ended up on the red carpet interviewing all the guests from Beanie Man to Louis Theroux. He's got the biggest thing on Netflix right now. All these people, I interviewed them, and that was like my first experience of live presenting. But I delivered, and off the back of that, they called me again, and other people asked me to do presenting. So to be fair, I should put more into it. To be fair, it's another gift, but that's how I fell into it.
Okay. Who would you say is the favorite person that you've interviewed?
You know what? I've been asked this question, and I've interviewed so many people. Some of them I don't even recall. I would say my favorite person that I interviewed was Jazzy B from Soul to Soul. So Soul to Soul was a group that my mom and my dad had records for, right? Soul to Soul, there's this guy, and he's got this Jazzy B, he's got this big hat, this big Rasta hat. Yeah, and I remember watching him on TV when there was only 5 channels on the telly. I'm telling you my age now, right? And I did not believe I would be in a position where I'd be interviewing him. He had just won a Mobile Award, and I had the chance to interview him backstage. And I was thinking, whoa, wait till I show my parents this. Bearing in mind, you know, my grandmother and my parents, they're like, listen, don't do this music stuff, you know. So fast forward now, I'm interviewing probably one of their artists that they love and enjoy, that we grew up with. And that was special to me because it meant really, you know, that's iconic. I think one of my special moments was interviewing Vybz Cartel. So people don't know this, but I had interviewed Vybz Cartel when I was about 18. This was when Vybz Cartel just was coming up the rankings, and I was on pirate radio station at the time, and they said Vybz Cartel's coming to Birmingham. I was like, okay, this is good. And I managed to interview him on the radio, right? So I never got to see him while I was interviewing, but maybe that's where I got presenting from, by the way. Maybe it's from like pirate radio station, because I used to interview all these people. And I interviewed him, right? And then I got to go to his show in Birmingham. So fast forward to now, last year, 2025, everybody thought Vybz Cartel was going to be locked up forever, and he managed to come out of prison, you know, and off the back of that, he came to the UK for the Mobile Awards last year. Now, this was a surprise. Like, I'm a part of the Mobile team, you know, and they never told me this. So I'm just interviewing all the people, Sugar Babes, you know, some of the top artists. And then Vybz Cartel pulls up with Spice. And I'm like, whoa. Like, that's what? But ironically, the greatest thing about it, and I'll always big up Vybz Cartel. So Vybz Cartel, if you're watching, I'll give you this one. He's been interviewed. Everybody stopped trying to interview him, pulling him to pillar to post, whatever not. And I'm there ready to interview him. And he's gone past me, right? His security's pushed him past me. But then Cartel's looked at me in my face. And you know, I've seen Cartel many a times, and he's looked and it's like as if he's recognized me, because people don't know this, but when I was in Jamaica, I used to go to Vybz Cartel's studio, and record like dub plates in the sound system world. And he's looked, bear in mind, I ain't seen this man for years, decades. And he's turned back around and says, no, you're going to get the interview. So I was the first person in the UK to interview Vybz Cartel after he came out of prison. I have got the scoop. I was the first person, right? So that to me was iconic as well, because for me, I came out of a sound system environment, dancehall. I told you I used to play underground. I used to play in like community centers and them places. And I had to change my brand to be a bit more sexy, you know, the UISL, this, that, the other. So during that process, people might have thought, you know, when you talk about grounded, they might have thought, oh, Mexy's not grounded, like he's lost his identity, he's not with us anymore, blah, blah, blah. But when I interviewed Vybz Cartel, what it showed the people was I was still grounded and I was still connected to the industry. And interviewing Vybz Cartel was iconic to me because he is the biggest dancehall star ever. And I managed to interview him and get a great interview with him too. So if you ever on my Instagram, have a look, you'll see the interview as well. So that was iconic as well.
What do you think makes a great interview, and how do you sort of formulate your interviews?
Do you know what? I think what makes a great interview is understanding who you're going to interview first. Do your homework, yeah? Do your homework. Don't go into an interview and you don't know nothing about the person, because you're just wasting time. Like, you can ask generic questions. You can go on ChatGPT and go, can you give me some interview questions, please? But there's a difference when somebody's asking the person something about them that is like, whoa, they have to stop. You know, when Vybz Cartel's coming out of prison, and I could have asked him anything. I could have said, oh, what's your favorite song? Or what's this? How does it feel like to be in the UK? Blah, blah, blah. They're just generic questions. But because I understood Cartel, I could ask him personal questions. I could say to him, you know, you haven't been to the UK for this long, right? Coming out of prison and going through the whole notion and getting on your first flight. What's that like? You know, talking to him about his songs that he's produced and saying, you know, out of all the songs that he produced, which one was your favorite song? And he's like, you know what? I got no. These are the things that make somebody light up. So I would say for presenting, do your homework. That helps, right? It helps you as well because you feel more confident in asking the person the question. And also be confident in what you're doing. Yeah, don't shy away. Look at the person when you're talking to them. Even if you're an introvert, blood, even if you're an introvert, look at the person and say, make them feel comfortable.
What does confidence mean to you, and how do you feel like you display that in your day-to-day life?
Day-to-day life, confidence is important, but confidence in yourself is more important, right? Confidence is not an external thing, right? It's not something that people tell you and you feel, oh, my days, this person said I'm great. No, confidence is an inner thing. So if you're not confident, it's a bit like there's a film called Cool Runnings, yeah? Where there's these black guys who want to run a bobsleigh, yeah? And there's a guy on there called Sanka. And Sanka's frightened to ride this bobsleigh, he's frightened of the people. And his colleague takes him by the mirror and says, talk to yourself. And he says, I'm a badass. You won't take no crap from nobody. And he keeps saying that to himself. And confidence is a thing you say to yourself, not what people say. Confidence comes from you. It's an inner being. So in Think and Grow Rich, it talks about the self-confidence formula. And in the self-confidence formula, there's 5 steps that you say to yourself. So if you haven't got confidence, go read that daily, yeah? But it talks about, you know, who you are as a person. You know, it says like, first I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. And it goes through 5 steps. Even then it says, I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know a negative attitude towards others could never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. These are the things that you will say to yourself daily to build your confidence. And confidence matters because that's what is the difference between you saying, I'm going to take action or not take action. If you read a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, if you read it, it says action cures fear. So if you got no confidence, you're not going to take that action, which means you're going to be fearful, right? So you've got to have the confidence to take the action and take away the fear.
What moment in your journey did you need the most confidence to make happen?
You know what? There's not one point in there's many points in my journey where confidence was needed. You know, there's many points in my journey where, like, if you think about in presenting life, you think about, you know, Kanye Kings just emailed you and says you're going to go to the mobiles and you're going to present on the red carpet and you've never done it before and you're going to be interviewing all these A-list celebrities, and it's like, you need that confidence. You think about doing an event to 10,000 people, right? And you've got these big artists on stage ready to perform, and this is your event. You better know what you're doing. You better have some confidence. Yeah. Even as simple as it is, even playing at weddings. If you're DJ at a wedding, that is probably one of the hardest places to play, you know, because these people are expecting you to make their granddad, grandma, friend, non-friend, friend of a friend, child, cousin, person who can't stand up, person who's tired, been there all day, to dance. You gotta make all these people dance, blood. Yeah. So all eyes on you, like, we've paid you. This is your time now, right? So if you ain't got the confidence to stand up and go, I'm confident in myself, I'm gonna make these people dance, no matter what, I'm gonna get the dance floor clear. I think you need more confidence to do that than anything I've done. You need more confidence to do that because all eyes on you. And as I said, I use music to help people feel good about themselves. So if I'm not fulfilling that, I don't feel fulfilled. Okay.
How did you actually get into DJing?
Okay. Now that's a story and a half. So I got into DJing when I was in school. Yeah, so I was in secondary school, and as I said, my dad was into music. He had the biggest sound system in the UK at the time. But when I used to go to school, there was this guy who was well off, his parents were well off, that used to make these mixes. Now, he used to make these mixes and put them on tape. I'm talking tape, like TDK tapes, not CDs, tapes, yeah? And people used to get his tapes and listen to them, put them in their tape recorders and listen to them in school, right? And I was like, I listened to it and I was like, nah, this ain't it, man. Like, he's just got money to buy songs. And it was like, oh, you're hating. You're like, what are you talking about? You couldn't do better. Just leave. And I was like, listen, if I became a DJ, you wouldn't listen to his songs no more. You wouldn't want his mixes. You listen to my mixes. And it was literally just a challenge. It was just more like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, watch, I'm going to show them. Watch, I'm going to show you. You're going to listen to my mixes. You're not going to listen to his. So I got into DJing. I said to my friend, I said, listen, I'm going to be a DJ. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to do it. I went home, said to my mom, listen, there's a place called Richer Sounds that used to sell like decks and mixers. And I went to town, I went there, brought the magazine home, said, Mom, bam, this is what I want for Christmas. And she was like, okay, let's speak to your dad. I says, all right, no problem. I'm thinking my dad's in music. I'm nice. Dad comes, son, you want to be a DJ? Yeah, it's not happening. You're not going to be a DJ. You're not going into music. Go and finish your GCSEs, yeah? And do your studies. Forget about that stuff. So I'm thinking, hold up, my dad's in music. Like, what? I said, Mom, what's going on? Mom's like, well, you know, your dad, you know. I says, nah. Anyway, cut a long story short, I looked at the amount it was. I said to myself, I ain't got a job. I'm going to find a way. Because I couldn't starve myself. My parents are giving you money for school. I couldn't not eat. So watch. So in my school, you wasn't allowed to bring like certain foods into school to eat. And my school, I went to a grammar school, right? It was an all boys school, right? So a lot of the people that came to this school weren't from the area. So they get dropped by their parents and go in. They weren't going to local shops. So what I did, I went to my local shop and I bought a pack of Maryland cookies. Yeah? 49 pence, red pack of Maryland cookies. And I went into school and it was a thing I liked. But I noticed when I was eating them, people would say, could I have one? I was like, yeah, you can have one. Give me 50 pence. And they were like, yeah, here's £1. I was like, okay. And honestly, I would go to the shop, buy a pack of Maryland cookies for 49 pence and sell these cookies in my school for £1 each. Yeah, when I never had no change, I only got a £2 coin. When £2 coins just come out, I said, all right, yeah, here's 2. And I used that money to save up my money to get my decks. So Christmas time was coming. I said, Mum, I still want these decks. She said, all right, listen, I'll give you half, but I don't know where you're going to get the rest of the money from. So here's the money. I went to the shop, got the decks with my friend, and I just started from there. Started mixing some songs. I could only afford 2 records. And I mixed 2 records until I learned how to mix. And then I recorded it in my grandmother's front room and got the mix, got the tape, went to school. I says, here's my tape. Listen to this. And people was like, yo, I like this mix. Like, oh, you can scratch. Like, I was like, okay. And I tell you not, by the time it was time to finish school, my mixes were the mixes that everybody listened to. Nobody listened to this guy's mixes. Nobody wanted to hear that. They was listening to my stuff. So that's how I got into DJing, really. It was just a challenge. And then I didn't realize I had a gift until actually doing it. And then off the back of it, actually being triumphant.
Actually, something I wanted to ask about is around self-discipline. So how did you sort of craft self-discipline as a person?
So for me, I didn't know discipline. I've always been disciplined, right? I've always been a person that they call it delayed gratification. So I've always been that sort of person that be like, I ain't doing that. Like where I grew up with people that didn't take the road that I took. A lot of people where I grew up with took the road of selling drugs or being in gangs or like doing robberies or like a lot. And these are a lot of like my best friends or my closest friends. This is the routes they took. But maybe because of my faith, I had the discipline to know I didn't want to do them things. Yeah. So I turned my energy into music in that way. And I think discipline came from my faith. Now looking at it, it definitely came from my faith, having faith in God, the principles of the Bible, and my principles that, you know, there's certain things you do and there's certain things you don't, right? And having a conscience and living by that conscience allowed me to be more disciplined as I grew up and understand that, you know what, I don't need to go to the shop and steal that because eventually I will get it. And that comes from having an abundant mindset as well. Yeah, that's where discipline comes from. If you're not going to be disciplined if you don't know you're going to get it. I know I'm going to get it. Might not be today, but I'm going to get that thing. So having an abundant mindset allows me to have the discipline now to say, yeah, if I can't afford it now, or if it's not here now, or if I do this, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work, or I might lose everything by doing a random thing or saying a random thing. Because sometimes, you know, online is one of those places that, you know, somebody upsets you, you might want to go on there and throw some shade. Yeah. But you have to have the discipline because, as I said earlier, a negative attitude towards others can never bring you success. So it's important to understand that there's certain things you need to have discipline for. And I built that through my faith.
What are some of the main ways that you like to express gratitude?
Great question. I think for me, I like to give back. So currently I sponsor 2 schools in Cape Verde. It was literally just off the back of me one day going to Cape Verde, picking up some pens from B&M Bargains. Other stores are available, yeah. And some books and stuff, putting them in a bag, right, in a couple bags and going to Cape Verde and just saying, is there any schools? And doing a link and managed to find some schools and give them out and give back. I guess what was the question? Is it gratitude you talk about? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was me being grateful for the position I was in order to help others. And gratitude is important, like, because as I say, it's an inner thing. Like, if you're not grateful for what you have, you can't expect more to come. So gratitude to me means that even though I haven't got the things I want, or even if I'm not with the person I want, or the friendships, or the limelight, or whatever it is you want, yeah, there's always something to be grateful for. I remember during COVID times when, you know, people caught COVID, and I managed to catch this thing called COVID, if you want to call it that. And I remember being in my bed and I couldn't move. Yeah, sweating, everything. It was like this mad flu. And I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, looking out the window, and I seen this old woman. She was like, probably pension, like 70s, 80s. And she was walking across the road. She was walking down the pavement, walking across. And I was staring through the window like this. I was jealous. I was like, hold on. This woman can walk like this and I can't get out of bed like she's walking. And I thought, you know what, that's it. I'm getting up. So I got out of bed, put my clothes on, and I walked out my house, and I walked to the corner of the road. I said, you know what, bro, you need to go back in. And I walked back in the house. But what that taught me was there was never a time that I was envious of somebody just walking until that moment. And many a times the things that we do daily, standard things that we have, the things like sight, taste, hearing. Like, have you ever woke up in the morning and thought to yourself, well, whoa, I wonder if the axis of the earth is going to be in the same position. I wonder if the sun is going to move a couple of meters closer and burn down everything here today. I wonder if oxygen is going to stop today. Nobody don't ask that. These are things to be grateful for, because these are things they're standard and we take them as normal things, but they're not normal. Like, where you get oxygen from? If somebody says it's normal oxygen, what are you going to do? You can't control that. Your heart beating, the ability to breathe in and breathe out, the ability to stand, the ability to touch, the ability to feel pain, because pain is something that alerts you to a problem. Some people don't feel pain, bro. So how do you know what's wrong with them? Right? So gratitude is very, very important. And I do, like, each month I have a mastermind group that I run. And in January, we do a challenge where we'll wake up at 5 a.m. And one of the things that we have to do is write out 10 things we're grateful for every day. So gratitude is very, very important in order to get more.
One of the most important things that I've learned is called alchemy, where it's like, so you'll have an emotion and you'll like transmute that into an action.
Okay, yeah.
So I think like with different emotions, a lot of people view anger as a negative emotion. But if you translate that anger into 3 hours of work, you've took the power away from it. So it's not negative because you've used it.
Well, a lot of great things started from somebody being frustrated or somebody being angry about a situation. I'm not having it no more. I've had enough. Yeah? And at that moment, that energy then transmutes from pain and anger into action. And that's energy that's been created that you got, and then you're taking it out on something that can help us.
Something that I wanted to ask. So reading's a big part of your life. What do you feel like the importance is for young people, or even people who are older, to one, read daily, and two, to be able to articulate themselves in a way that serves them?
Yeah, reading's important. Like, when I was in school, I hated reading. I didn't like it. I didn't even like the English teacher. I didn't like it, man. I didn't want to read. They're telling me to read Terry Pratchett and Harry Potter. And I was like, what is this? Why am I wasting my time reading this stuff? So to whoever's listening as a young child, youth, whatever, even as a person, don't force the reading thing. What I learned was that I just wasn't presented with the style of book that was for me. So now I know fiction books is not for me. I don't want to read about dragons' blood. Yeah? So when I came out of school, right, many years later, I came across a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it was given to me a long time ago. I didn't know what it was. This is a purple book. So I said, read the book, man. I said, oh, nobody ain't putting in books anything good. Why would somebody take their time to put in a book something that's going to help you? They ain't going to do that. And I read that book, and I'm telling you, it changed my life. And that was a catalyst into me reading other books and other things. I was like, if he's put this in here, what's next? I need to read everything. These people are actually telling us the blueprint of what's going on. So you've got to find, and don't get me wrong, obviously fiction books for me wasn't my thing. It might be for you. But as for me, I found my niche in personal development books and wealth books, and even like autobiographies where people are telling their story and what they went through. I'm thinking, whoa, I thought it was just me that went through this, but Nelson Mandela went through that, or somebody else, or Marcus Garvey. These people that went through things. So I think reading is very, very important. And also reading helps your vocabulary. I like to listen audiobooks now because it's quicker when I'm on the go. But actually reading helps you to understand words, and you will use them words in your conversation as well. So I actually enjoy reading a good book. With time, I listen more. So whether you like to read and whether you're great at reading, if you can't, listen to the books. Get Audible. I don't have no affiliate link. I might have to get one. But get Audible and go and listen some books. And go and up yourself, up your level by listening to them things.
You're very successful in business. One thing that I wanted to ask is, what is one of the biggest, I guess, obstacles that you've overcame trying to navigate the business side of what you do?
Okay.
How did you overcome that?
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges, I think at first, and this is just, it's crazy I have to say this, but you know what? Being a black guy was challenging, big man. Like, when I first got into the music industry, I found that a lot of the places, there was no black faces. So for me, I was the only person doing the stuff for a lot of the brands. All these high-end brands, they were contacting us, and I didn't look like the people behind the scenes. It wasn't until probably like George Floyd and all these things that things had changed, and they're just, the TV had black people on, right? But up until then, it wasn't a thing, right? So that was one of the biggest challenges I had to face, in that I had to be like, you know what? I can't see myself as a color. I am who I am. But if I act like it's a thing, then they're going to sense it's a thing. So therefore, I had to change my mindset. I'm a person. That person's a person. And actually, when you think of it, we're all brothers and sisters, because one day there was, they say Adam and Eve, but there was one man and one woman on this planet, and everybody comes through that. So we're all family, bro. Yeah? No matter what color, complexion, whatever you want to believe in, we're all family. So I had to change my perception and say, listen, I'm family. And, you know, regardless of how they look at me or I look at them, we're one. This is my family. I'm your family. And just having that mindset opened so many doors for me. And that was one of the biggest challenges to overcome, because you can have, what do they call it? They can have, when you're in a place and you don't feel, your imposter syndrome. So there's a lot of times I got imposter syndrome because I'm in a place with all these top people and none of them don't look like me. And I'm thinking, this is strange. But I grew up in it, so I knew how to navigate through that. So that was one of the biggest challenges, to be fair.
I think it's like reversing the psychology. So like, instead of going in the room and thinking, why are these people different to me? It's like, this is what makes me different from all of you.
That's right. You have to take your uniqueness out of it. And also, as I said to you earlier, it's about building a door. So I looked at it as, once I'm in here, I can get anybody else in. I can tell people the blueprint. And I'm very like this, like, I know I'm a black guy. I'm for everyone. Like, I'm about giving everybody an opportunity. Like, as I said, I see us all, white, black, Asian, in whatever you are, wherever you come from, Chinese, we're all one. So we should all work together and support each other. So I always looked at it as, once I get through the door, I'm going to let other people through the door. So if I'm the only person that looks like me, because sometimes it wasn't just my skin color. Sometimes it was, these people are older than me. These are people in their late 50s. Yeah. And they're looking at me and I'm like, or some of them don't dress like me, you know, they're all dressed in suits and I come dressed like this, nice and casual. But as time goes on, it wasn't a thing.
Something I wanted to ask is around marketing. So what's your, you might not want to give away like the source.
You want my recipe? You want my recipe, man?
But like, what are some of like, I guess, the key things that go into your marketing?
I think branding is important, personal branding, people by people. So you've got to be the person first. before you do an event or you attach anything to yourself, people gotta see you're that person that they want to buy into. So for me, I'm always a person that keeps it authentic. I don't try to be something that I'm not. Yeah. And people like your story. People like to see the failures and the growth and your challenges. And I try to explain that to people through my stories or whatever I do. It's never, oh, I've done this. This is fantastic. Sometimes I'm like, we went to them last year. They said no. And this year they said yes. And that was a big learning. And this is how I did it. And I try and inspire people rather than just being this person that's just showboaty. There's many people that can do that, but for me, that's not it. I think marketing also, people forget that 80% of your business should be marketing. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what product. I used to always say back in the days, like, you could have the best fish and chips in the world. The best fish and chips. But if nobody don't know where you are, you ain't selling them. The man across the road, or the man around the corner, or the man down there that's selling the B-grade chips, he's gonna have a queue of people. So marketing comes first. Market before operations, before finance, before all of this. Marketing. This is why Apple have queues before they even got their phone ready, because they've marketed it. They've already told you what's going on, got it into your mind, visually put it into your brain. This is what I'm going to buy, how it feels, what I'm going to do. And that's it. And that's why when you go to a car showroom and they want you to buy a car, you know what they do? When you go to a car showroom, you know when they know they got a sale? When you've test drove the car. Because that's marketing. Come and jump in the car. Come and drive it. How does it feel? And you start thinking of seeing yourself driving this car, you've touched it. So all of your senses, you're smelling the car, you're in the car, you're driving the car, you feel the car you had, you're going, yeah, but this is bigger, and this is nice. And how did you feel about it? That's marketing. So marketing is very, very important in anything that you do. And there's a guy called T.R. Vecker. I read his book. And in it, he talks about how successful people do 80% marketing.
So in terms of your like schedule, because you do so many different things, how does someone like yourself manage all these different things?
Okay, well, I'm a person, I don't like to manage loads of stuff. I'm no good at routines. I'm no good at like these things. I like systems. Build a system and I can work to the system. But if I ain't got no system, I'm all over the place. But what I have now, I have a team. So I have an executive assistant and a PA, and they deal with my day-to-day. They deal with my diaries, my travel, my accommodations, my bookings, all of that stuff. I had to outsource it because I realized, you have to let go. To grow, you have to let go. So there were things that I thought, you know what, that's not my thing. That's not for me. But these things are for me. So I stay in my gift and I employ people who have got gifts in the areas that I need. So in order to stay routine or stay on structure, I just have a team that deal with that.
Task delegation.
Yeah, delegating always, like, and in essence, what I'm doing is I am building them as well. So I'm feeding their families or helping their careers by me channeling my gift and then taking what I'm generating and putting it in their pockets. And then they've got a job, they're working to their gift. So it's all about helping other people as well.
So your brand, Mexy's Little Black Dress, how did that brand come about, and what makes it so powerful, and what really makes it stand out, and also what makes it so impactful?
Okay. I would say we don't cut corners. Yeah, so Little Black Dress to me is quality over revenue or income. Right, there's been times in Little Black Dress where I've had to book some things, some venues, some people, some entertainment, and for bloody hell, like even down to a dance floor. People don't know this, but there's times where I've had to book external people to come and put a dance floor in, and I'm looking and I'm going, this dance floor's cost me £800, and people are just dancing on it and walking on it. They don't even know this is what it's cost me, for example. Right? Sometimes it's more than that depending on the size. But because I had a vision, and I've got a vision of how I want it to look and the experience I want people to have, The difference with Little Black Dress to anything else that anybody would do, and some people do it, is that I don't create an event. I create an experience. That's what I do. Our vision and our motto is we create experiences, we don't create events. So think about it as you go in Alton Towers. You go into a theme park, it's experience, right? You go to a spa break, it's experience. You come to Little Black Dress, it's an experience. So that's what we do.
In the next 5 years, where do you see yourself taking your own events brands?
Well, you know what? Scale. Everything is scale. So, you know, globally, a lot of our brands, we're just building them at the moment, building the back end so we can systemize them, because you can't grow if everything's not in order and systemized. You have to be able to make it something that can be repeated. So we're currently in the back end building how we can replicate it and scale it. So when we scale, we don't drop off. We're actually scaling it and everything's staying the same. But in the next 5 years, it's all about systemizing. That's what it's all about. DJing is something I love doing. I always do it. Like, I'm going to be like the David Radigan of this team. But at the same time, it's important to me to help others. So I want to be able to help others build their own events, help others to go through the whole journey, their personal branding journey. People that are just starting out, even personal development's my thing as well. So I'll be doing a lot more personal development events, a lot more things, speaking a lot more. People say I have to speak more. So in the next 5 years, my aim in DJing is still to be impactful, but as my own personal brand, to be making sure I'm using the gifts and my personal branding gifts and my personal development gifts to help others achieve what they want.
So I want to take it back to sort of towards the start. So when you were younger, what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned that you feel like sort of shaped you as a person?
What was one of the biggest lessons I learned that shaped me? Yeah, like I said earlier, I would say one of the biggest lessons is don't wait for somebody to knock the door. Like, that was one of the biggest lessons for me. Like, specifically, I was around a lot of people who wanted to go further, even including myself. I mean, we didn't have the chance then. We didn't have social media. Now you have, where you can DM somebody that you've seen on television. Like, we didn't have that back then, right? So we had to find a way to be creative enough to open a door. Sometimes even we was in Birmingham, drive to London. You don't know where these artists are. You don't know where Skepta is, but you know, you've seen some sign on his video, let's drive there, we might see him, right? But I would say one of my biggest learnings is, and it's one of my favorite guys called Les Brown, and he says this, he says, in life, you must do the things that others won't do in order to have the things others won't have. And that is one of my biggest learnings, is that you got to do what somebody else ain't going to do. A lot of my opportunities, a lot of the things that I've done or where I am today has been because somebody would probably go, I ain't doing that. Nah, you're mad. But I've gone, I'm going to make it happen.
Something that I think is important is circle. I feel like the people that you have around your environment, that's sort of like a manifestation of your beliefs and your standards. What advice do you have for people who are coming up in the industry? What do you think they should look for in the people that they surround themselves with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you should, my view, and this is my personal opinion, is that wherever your vision is, and have your vision first, and this is, we haven't touched on that, but vision matters, because a vision pulls you, but a goal, you run towards a goal, but a vision pulls you towards it, right? So whatever's in your vision that you want to do, and whoever you want to be, try your best to get into those networks. It might mean that you have to pay a little bit of money to get into a high network environment, to be around like-minded people. You might need to go to an event where the people that you want to be like go to, yeah? You might have to go to a restaurant, or you might have to work from an environment that the people there are the people that you want to be around, or you feel like, you know, this is what I'm aiming to be. And I think by doing that, you naturally raise your standard of thinking and your wavelength, right? Even if you can't afford to go to stay in one of these environments like a I don't know, like a 5-star hotel. Go and get a coffee. Go and get a drink, hot drink. Buy one at the bar and sit down there with your laptop and just be there. Because environment matters. Yeah. There's a book I've read. One of my favorite books. It's The Magic of Thinking Big. Yeah. One of my favorite books. Trust me, love that book to pieces. I big up Steve Harvey because he made me get this book. It's the pages all bent up. I need to buy a new one. But in it, it says, you must have one expensive quality item rather than 10. Yeah? It's better to have one £500 t-shirt than to have 10 £50 ones. Yeah? It's better to go first class once than to go on 1,000 cheap £20 flights. Why he says that? It's because of the way you feel and the way you act and what it would do for you. Like, even T. Harv Eker talks about it. When you go to a restaurant, most people go to a restaurant, what's the first thing they do when the menu comes? Start looking at the amount. How much is that? How much is that? How much is that? How often do you go to a restaurant, man? Yeah? Working, whether you work hard or you don't work hard, if you go to a restaurant, order what you want. Yeah? Most people go to a restaurant, they're like, what do you want? I'll have the chicken again. People constantly just going and buying the chicken. Why? Not because they can't. Not because they don't want the other things. Not because they don't want the lobster and they don't want the steak with the extra sauce and the mac and cheese. It's because they're going, I don't know. Listen, you're going out, go and buy the top thing. Just go, so I'll have that. Yeah? You're going to get a massage. One day, go there and say to the massage place, how much is it for 2 people to massage me? And just throw the money down on the counter and say, I'll have the 2 of you. Yeah? You have to change your environment and how you see things, which leads on to what you're saying in that if it is that you're aiming to have a Ferrari and there's no Ferraris where you live, you need to get close proximity to these people that have these cars and these things and this lifestyle to understand, okay, what is it that they're doing? How do they speak? Where do they eat? How do they carry themselves? And energy doesn't lie. You will naturally raise your level to the energy that they are because you start going back home thinking, yeah, but that person wouldn't have done that. You understand? And secondly, for me, I have my own mastermind group that I've created. And my mastermind group is a group of individuals, big up Mango Mastermind, group of individuals. What we talk about is faith, mindset, personal development, wealth, everything. We build each other up. Yeah, we meet every 2 weeks, and I've got other groups and other cohorts, but this cohort's been going for the last 5 years now, and we have built each other up over the last 5 years and helped each other in areas, and that's because of the environment. Because one hand can't clap, so it's important that you're around like-minded people that can support you, that you can grow with, and that in essence your energy can raise to the level you want it to be, and you're talking about the right things.
What was one of the biggest things that your father instilled in you when you were growing up that's impacted you as a man?
I would say my father instilled in me good values and beliefs. Like, he was a man that really raised the bar and was a trailblazer in his community. To have a sound system that was globally known in a time when there was no social media spoke volumes. And he was a man that, you know, he did music, but he also did business really, really well. He was entrepreneurial, had multiple jewelry shops, yeah, as a black man, you know, doing really well. And for me, my dad instilled in me that it's possible. That you don't need to just, you know, you don't need to down yourself or make yourself little. You need to understand that it's possible to do big things. So he always inspired me to know that, you know what, it's possible to do big things.
What do you feel like the younger version of yourself would think and feel seeing the version of you now?
A great question. I think the younger version of me would laugh, because the younger version of me never seen me as a DJ and presenter. The younger version of me based upon what I was told and what I seen around me, and my trajectory. My trajectory was to be in a corporate job. I went to school, primary school, grammar school, university, come out, go get your job, move, get a job, go up the ladder. So my younger self never seen this today. It wasn't something that I thought, yeah, man, I'm going to be the biggest DJ, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I never seen this. So my younger self would be going, whoa, where did that come from? Like, he was DJ, what, bro, what's this? Because I always thought I'd just be like a top senior exec in an organization, get my money, got a nice house, nice car, 2 kids, a dog. We don't want no cats. And that's who I would be. But I always knew in myself when I was younger, there was something bigger than that. What that looked like, I didn't know. So now my younger self would look at me now and laugh and say, you knew you was bigger than this, bruv. You understand? So that's probably what would happen.
What does wealth mean to you?
Wealth means to me the ability to live off your own resources. That's what wealth means to me. Not depending on no one.
What would you say your vision is over the upcoming years, and what fuels that vision?
So my vision initially, I set a vision 5 years ago to be the person I am today. So when I decided to take DJing seriously, I said I wanted to do it with the top celebs, the highest brands. I wanted to be known as on the biggest festivals. This is what I said I was going to do. And that's how I set my vision. I was the go-to DJ and brand that does that. Now, 6 years on, if I look at 2025, I hit my vision. So I did a 5-year vision, and that's what I hit. So my vision was to do all of that. Now we're doing Selfridges, Yves Saint Laurent, Cosmopolitan, Elle Magazine, Mobos. We're doing NatWest, Lloyd's, HSBC. We're doing Krypton Conan's parties, Chip's birthday parties. We're doing tours in Dubai. We've done Anthony Joshua's parties. We interviewed a lot of A-list celebrities, from Sugar Babes to Beanie Man to all these people. We've interviewed them. And yeah, we're doing events now at the highest level. A lot of my brands, I've got brands that are sponsored by Ray and Nephew, Cavassier. I had my own award shows that we did in London and stuff as well, that was sponsored by HSBC and the BBC, and been in the Financial Times newspapers and stuff. So my vision of what I see myself as, I am that now. So now the vision is to set another vision, right? As that goes on. So when that comes to me, because I always pray about it, meditate, God puts it in my heart and I go with it. There's many gifts that I have. So I'm looking forward to what God has for me for the next plans, for the next vision.
What do you feel like the importance is of getting audio right as a DJ?
Yeah, I think audio matters so much. It's really an important part of the journey. You imagine going to the cinemas and just watching the screen with no sound. Yeah, or watching the screen and the sounds just in the background. People pay premium money to sit in a seat in the cinema where they can hear the Dolby surround sounds and feel it. That's the importance of audio. Audio changes everything. As a DJ, I get so frustrated sometimes. To now, it's a no-brainer. When we send out where we're getting played to book, what are we playing on? Because if I'm going to a venue where the sound's not there, it's very difficult to get the vibe that you want. So the sound and the audio matters so much to how people. Sound is something that you feel. Right? People think you hear it, yeah, but you feel sound. So sound is something that is a very imperative to everything.
So my last question for you would be, what do you want your legacy to be, as not just as a DJ, but as a person? And what impact do you want to leave on the lives of the people that you've touched?
So my thing is this: legacy to me is about making sure that everybody, no matter whether you knew me 10, 20 years ago or you know me another 100 years later, that I impacted your life and said something positive, something life-changing, or something that made you go, yo, this guy spoke to me and he said this, you know, or he was DJing and I remember that, or I was watching his podcast, or I was reading his book, or I was listening to something and he changed my life. Legacy to me is about making sure that I can change people's lives enough that when I leave the planet or I leave the earth onto my next part, people remember what I changed and the impact that I had on them. Like, obviously for my children, legacy matters as well, like leaving a legacy for my children. But the legacy I want to leave is not like financial legacy and wealth is nice, but I want to leave like what you've got, people that left the planet. Like when you think of Nelson Mandela and them, man, he left a legacy. Yeah. That's a legacy. When you think of these people and what they did, when you think of, like, even I said Michael Jackson and these people, you can't take his music away from him. That's a legacy that people have left. When you think of Bob Marley and these people, legacy these people have left. So ideally for me, it's about making sure that I leave a legacy enough that if my children are walking the streets or they're interviewed or they're around, people go, you see your dad, it changed my life, you know. Like I was watching this and I did this and I went on his course and I did, this is what I want people to know. So legacy for me is making sure I leave positive stuff for people to be able to use and better themselves.
How has having children shaped you as a man in your journey?
So having children shaped me as a man because I had children quite young on. So my son was born when I was like 22. So I thought I was a big man then time then, but I was young. And having to do I just come out of university, just graduated, was looking for a job, and I was doing music at the same time. It mans you up quick time, right? And what was important to me at the time was making sure I was the best dad ever. Yeah, so fatherhood was more important to me than anything else. So I made sure that, all right, I need to be sustainable. I need to have the job. I need to have the sustainable income. I need to have the family life for my son. So when he grows up, he understands the principles and the values, and that I can put that into him. I think now, as I'm who I am now, my aim is to really inspire the kids to make them know, you know what, there's no blocks or barriers, and to also give them back all the books that I've read. They aren't reading them yet still. They're like, Dad, I ain't gonna read that yet. Don't worry, man. I'm watching Alex Commando and TikTok. Listen, but giving them the knowledge that I had to learn to become who I am today, and it really grows you as a father when you've got kids and as a man, because you've got more than yourself to look forward to and look after.
So what is one message that you have for any person who is trying to build a successful life?
Wow, life is a big thing. That's a big life. All right, am I speaking to you or do I speak to the camera?
Speak to the camera.
All right, so my advice to anybody that wants to build a successful life, life has many parts, yeah? Go and research the wheel of life. Life is not just about one thing, yeah? Money is not the only count, yeah? So you have to look at life in different things. You have to look at life as relationships, wealth, fun, family, friends, health. And there's many more, but I'm gonna tell you this, health is wealth. So if you wanna build a successful life, start with your inner first. Forget the outward stuff, that will come. Work on the inner. The most important things in life are the things you cannot see. You have to work on the things unseen, and then they will create what is seen. When a seed is in the ground, you cannot see it. You cannot see it. They talk about the bamboo tree. They said there's a story about a bamboo tree, or biologically, the bamboo tree is a tree that it's been put in the ground, and for 5 years, these people go out and water it and nurture it for 5 years, yeah? And nothing happens. And people walk and tell the person they are foolish, they're stupid, as they would say in Jamaica. What are you doing? You see, you go into this thing day by day, nurturing this thing, this water, this ground, this soil. What are you doing? But guess what happens on year 5? The bamboo tree grows what? How much feet? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet in the air. Straight, just like that. Now, you have to ask yourself, did the bamboo tree grow 50 feet in 10 minutes, a year, a month? Or did it grow that long in 5 years? And what I would say to you is about life and success. It's like the bamboo tree, because at any point they had stopped nurturing the ground in that 5 years, that bamboo tree wouldn't have grown. And you know what was growing in the bamboo tree during that 5 years? It wasn't growing up. It was growing down. It was growing roots. So understand that your roots are more important than what's going up, because the deeper your roots are, the deeper you work on yourself, your personal development, who you are, your self-confidence, what you stand for, your habits, the deeper you grow them things in, the higher your successful life will grow.
This has been an impactful and a meaningful conversation with DJ Mexy.
Yes, brother.
Appreciate you coming through, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Yes,
brother.
And also, put God first if you want a successful life. Before the bamboo, before the seed, put God first.
100%.
Yes, brother.
And could you just quickly tell the people where they can find you on socials?
Yes, if you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram, DJ Mexy. I'm on TikTok as well, DJ Mexy. I don't ever use it much, but hey, the team are using it, my social team. If you're on LinkedIn and you're into business, add me, Mexy Thomas, Mexy Thomas, and we can do business.